every penny of the $30,000 that Chip Watkins paid for this at Mecum. After we got it dialed in, I'll tell you the story. Come on inside, I'll tell you all about it.
Feast your eyes on this absolutely stunning beauty. And you got to admit, this is one of the most wicked sounding motocross bikes ever. 540 cc's of big bore Yamaha thumper power. This was a combination effort between Yamaha Motor Company and then Hallman Eneqvist in London to build a bike that could beat the two strokes at the world championship level. I don't have the exact stats of how many were built by the factory. I think it was less than 10. And if you could get your hands on one of those, they'd be in the $50,000 and up range. This one, ProFab made replicas of the actual originals. This is a replica bike built from the ground up, using all the best components you can get your hands on to turn it into what looks like an actual factory works racer. It's a bike that if you go to MX Rewind at Unadilla or to any one of the big vintage events, it's going to stand out heads and shoulders above any other bike on the line. It's just a spectacular piece of kit bike here. It's a spectacular piece of engineering. And to duplicate this bike, well, you'd have to buy the frame kit, and an engine, build the engine, the Olin shocks, the custom swing arm. Just gathering the parts would take you months, and you'd be looking at minimum 80 to 100 hours of shop labor to craft one of these into what you see here and build it from scratch, including the full engine build. This one's done. It's being sold for, well, it was sold at Mecum. You can go on to Mecum right now and punch in Yamaha HL40. This bike will come up, sold to my good friend Chip Watkins in 2022. Chip paid up for the bike. It was out the door $30,000 plus shipping to Florida. So $31,000 landed. And when he got it, he hung it from the ceiling of his private museum, and it was there for a few years. And he decided he was switching all to Honda, and he dropped off 16 of his bikes. We picked them up actually and bought back 16 of his collection, including this one. This is the last bike from the collection to be prepared for sale, and it's going up. Actually, it's already sold. So sorry to pop your balloon on that one, but it was sold pre-video based off of an Instagram video, and the new owner asked us to do this video for him. So in any event, absolutely beautiful construction quality. It was sold by Mecum as an original. I can actually grab the auction highlights here and read them to you. This is check it out. This is the Mecum. You really have to buyer beware at these auctions, because they sold this in 2022 and in their own, so from the Estenson Vintage Collection, restored. This is not a modern replica. It says right there on the third line, and all the forums tore them a new ass because there was a dozen reasons why they knew it wasn't a modern, it is a modern replica. And unfortunately, my buddy Chip, it would have fooled me. I'm not an HL replica. I mean, NHL expert. I know a little bit about them, but enough to be dangerous. But they sold it as the original deal, saying that it was not ridden since restoration, and it definitely wasn't, because it had a multitude of problems that it wouldn't run with when it came here. And I have extensive work order here. I'll go over with you. So when you buy these bikes at auction, man, you might as well be buying it off of Facebook Marketplace in a dark alleyway, because they actually described it on the listing with Fox shocks, and any idiot can see those are Olin shocks. Those aren't Fox shocks. And they said it was an actual original, factory original, not a replica. It is a replica. So it was misrepresented by them grossly, and it was not in running order. It was an extensive list of issues that we had to go deal with. And when I did get it running, the chain alignment was wrong, and the chain was rubbing on the chain guide, so that had to be re-engineered. And the oil cap that was on it had the wrong oil cap on it, so we had to replace the oil cap. I'll get into the work order in a minute, but back to the bike. It's totally dialed in now. We've got an extensive work order of what we did to get the bike in its current rideable condition, and it's dialed into the nines. And you can see the front wheel is brand new. This is exactly the way it came from Mecum cosmetically. The front wheel, tire, spokes are brand new. The forks are in stunning condition, fully restored, as are the triple clamps. It's got a new front fender, new front number plate, new bars, new nice red and white Yamaha crossbar pad, all new controls, stunning paint job on the bike, new side panels, new saddle. The frame, I believe it was brand new, built from the kit, brand new custom aluminum swing arm. brand new set of Olin shocks. Like I said, to build this bike, you're looking at 80 to 100 hours of shop labor, and just to gather the parts, I don't see how you could put this together for less than 10 grand with the built engine and everything else as far as a parts list would cost. So to build this bike today, if you paid a shop to do it, it'd be well north of $20,000. And a whole bunch of time getting it dialed in, because it is a handcrafted motorcycle. Every piece on it, the swing arm, the frame, a lot of the components are handmade, and the engine is built from the crank up as a race bike with a 540 big bore. So in any event, stunning machine, has quite a history. This is a bike that started the four-stroke motocross racing at the world championship level against a two-stroke, built by the Swedish legends Torsten Hallman, Sten Lundin, and engineered by Sten. I don't want to crush his name, but it's Eneqvist. I think it's, how do you pronounce it? Eneqvist. Okay. So these HL bikes were hand-built factory race machines, the original ones, and they didn't produce a whole lot of them. I don't know the exact production stats. It was several hundred maybe that Yamaha had produced, in addition to the 6 or 10 works bikes that they had built. This one was built the right way, using the TT500 based engine, the HL style chromoly frame, long travel Olin suspension, alloy tank, and correct period race components. It's lightweight, torquey. It's an absolutely wicked machine. It's one that you could take and race at Unadilla or any of the national tracks and have an absolute blast on it. It might be too clean. It's basically brand new. It hasn't since it's been constructed. It's never, not basically brand new, it is brand new. It's never been taken in the dirt. It was built, I would say 0 hours ride time, because it wasn't in running condition when we got it. And you're not going to have to pay $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 or more. The guy who bought it got a deal on it based on it being a replica and not an original. So in any event, let me go over the work order of what we did to the bike. Let's see here. So the valve lash was set wrong. We set the valve lash to 06 on the intake, 08 on the exhaust. The timing was off. It wouldn't start and run. So we set the ignition timing and the points gap, set the points gap at a 0.014, set the ignition timing of the timing box, got it running. Put new NGK B70S spark plugs in it. Had to do a little bit of work on the wiring. New valve lash cap O-rings. The issue we had with the oil leaking is there was a leak on the base right here, and we took these bolts out, and they were too short, so we put the longer 3 new cylinder base bolts on, torqued them down, and that corrected the leaking issue. The carb jetting was way off, so we went through a new needle jet, new main jet, new pilot jet, and a new slide. The kill switch was defective. We replaced the kill switch with a new MGO switch, redid the kill switch wires with OEM style billet connectors. The front number plate wasn't fastened correctly. That was basically falling off, so we fastened the front number plate with new O-rings, put a gallon of VP fuel in it. Of course, the fuel petcock was leaking, so we put a new fuel petcock on it, the new fuel lines. The other issue at Mecum, that they don't inspect the bikes, but when you turn the steering stem all the way, the fork would hit the fuel tank. It's a miracle it didn't get damaged on both sides, and that's basically because it was handled properly. But if you rode it, you would have smashed the tank on both sides. So we installed these correct length spacers right here, bolts, adjustable. So now the tank doesn't hit, as mentioned. We installed new fuel petcock assembly, new fuel lines, new carb vent lines, a new points cam seal. We power lubed the cables and adjusted them, gave it a full 100-point nut and bolt check everywhere. Everything was torqued and tightened down. Topped off the engine oil and installed the new oil cap that we ordered online for it. Then we tested the oil return system, made sure the pump was working. I had to adjust the rear wheel alignment. The front tire was flat. We put a new front tube, adjusted the front brake was adjusted improperly, verified the oil pump was working, and that's about it. I mean, there's a page of parts that we put into this, and couple days of tuning and working on it and getting it dialed in. So you really got to be careful when you buy a bike at auction, that the provenance is what they say it is. it's unfortunate. I have a ton of respect for Chip. He's a great guy, and I could have mistaken this as an original too. It is a stunning piece, but on the good side is to build one to this level, you'd be damn close to 30 anyways, and he didn't have to spend a year and a half torturing himself anyways. He bought it done, and it accomplished the goal he had was as one of the main display pieces in his museum. The only reason it came up for sale, like I said, is he was switching to all Honda, and so somebody else is getting a chance to own this beauty, and we got it dialed. We do it different than Mecum. Every bike we sell, we run it, we ride it, and we test it, we go through it, and we make sure it's exactly what we say it is, and we stand behind it. So look at our reviews on eBay. Look at our reviews on Google, and there's dozens, hundreds of people that have bought bikes off of us. Over 10,000 clients have bought bikes, and hundreds, if not thousands, of references and people saying it's exactly what we said it was. And if it wasn't, we fix it. If you buy a bike at auction on our Facebook Marketplace, well, that's what you get, man. Sorry, check's cleared. You buy a bike at auction, and you're on your own, buddy. You might as well buy a bike at a salvage auction, and you're going to get the same amount of service as you will at most big auction houses. And this isn't I'm not bashing Mecum. They have a great thing going there. I'm going to go there next year and buy some bikes, but it's buyer beware. You have to buyer beware and be prepared. If I know other YouTubers that have bought bikes, and one of them in particular bought a high-end Z900, and it was missing internal engine components, and I've heard a lot of nightmare stories. So you really have to know. Well, I've bought over 10,000 classic motorcycles and myself, and there's videos of every one of them on YouTube, by the way. So, well, you got to know what you're looking for, man. Go over everything. You want to grab every bearing point on the bike and shake it and lift it up and down and make sure everything's aligned right. Make sure the chain's not rubbing on the frame like this one was. Make sure everything's good, and you really should hear the bike run. If you can't hear a bike run, you've got to assume the worst, man, because usually there's a reason it doesn't run, because it needs a couple days of a engineer, motorcycle tech, a tech, guy capable of doing a crank-up rebuilds and going through everything and dialing it in. So, yeah, when we sell a bike, it's exactly what we say it is. The guy who bought this bike's getting a great deal, and it's been gone through top to bottom, and he couldn't build it for what he paid for it. That's for damn sure. So anyways, that's enough out of me. Thanks for watching, and God bless America.